Hi, Rick Check here with Ages Pursuit. I wanted to go over some of the findings of the Stelo brand CGM that I installed last week. I'm on day 7 now, and I've noticed some observations I wanted to share with you. This will all come out in more detail during the 14-day detox challenge. I will put more details around what I'm finding as I do more research and realize what is actually going on. But sugar plays a huge role in our health, and it's not in a positive way. Sugar is something that we don't need. I want to talk about my observations day by day and then some of my key takeaways, and hopefully it'll help alleviate some of the nervousness you might have as well, but also understand that you're going to have better health and health span in the future. So I had to take some notes. On day 1, if you watched my previous video on the installation of the Stelo CGM, you'll notice that at the end I kind of gasped and say, what? So when I put the CGM on, my first reading was 129, and I had to make sure that that was correct. That I know it needed some calibration, it was new, but it shocked me a little bit. Those were numbers that are in the pre-diabetic range. I also noticed too that night that I had glucose spikes all night. I've never realized or felt any of this before, but now that you see the numbers, you realize, whoa, something's going awry and you're not aware of it. On day 2, when I woke up that morning, my morning glucose was 114. That would be a fasting state of 12 hours. I did not eat 12 hours prior to that. That's well into the pre-diabetic range. What's interesting about this is 2 weeks ago, I had a blood test and my fasting glucose was 99, saying, oh, you're not pre-diabetic. You're just right there because 100 means you're pre-diabetic. Well, obviously I was trending in that direction because that's what happened. During the day, my sugar spiked as high as 138 when I was eating meals with no sugar in them. When I put on the CGM, I realized, whoa, I might be in trouble and heading towards diabetes. So my mind said, hey, take care of yourself. And I stopped eating sugar for several days. And I'll talk about that. One thing I noticed was during the night, my glucose had spiked all the way up to 138. And I wasn't really sure why, considering I hadn't eaten sugar for probably 36 hours. On day 3, my morning glucose was 111, so it had dropped 3 points. That was again after a 12-hour fast. No sugar again, but I was still spiking to 138 during the day when eating without having any additional sugars added into my body. That night, I decided to go for a 5-mile run, and my glucose dropped 35 points in 2 hours. It was the hugest drop I've seen. Remember, I didn't have sugar for 2.5 days, and this was the first time I exercised. Sugar dropped 35 points in 2 hours. The glucose spikes on day 3 were starting to level off at night when I went to sleep and woke up the next morning. So now I'm 2.5 days without sugar. I wake up the next morning on day 4 and my glucose was 107, heading in the right direction. No sugar for the past 3.5 days. My blood sugar actually remained steady all day between 86 and 127 with no added sugars in there, so no spikes. When I was doing this, I was more or less being a little selfish and saying, wait a minute, you're heading towards diabetes.